You know what time it is. We absolutely have to talk about what the hottest sports cards of the week are. I'm Coach Co. Welcome to Sports Cards Pro, the data tracking tool that's going to allow you to make better decisions when it comes to buying and selling your sports cards. We are going to jump onto the Sports Cards Pro app. We're going to go into the tools feature. We're going to go into sales volume data. Now, before we get started on this video, I want to mention that this is part of the premium features tools. For just $6 a month, go back a little bit. For just $6 a month, you get access to this and many other features on the Sports Cards Pro website. But just for being on this channel today, you get access to this absolutely for free because this is what we do on a weekly basis. So if you haven't hit that subscribe bell, you're missing out. Okay, we start off with basketball. Chet Holmgren is relatively high on this list, and we're going to jump into that. Last week, we covered Paolo. This is his Mosaic 2022. This card started about $1 back in September of 2023. It's up to about $1.05, so not a big change here. PSA 10s are going for roughly $35. 9 5s are going for $23.89. 9s are going for $12. So I've mentioned this many times on this channel. I will continue to mention it. Grading sports cards, specifically when it comes to base, it's a very, very, very tough way to build up capital because if you don't hit a 10, chances are you're not going to make your money back. Now, as always, it's not all about money. If you feel like grading this card for your own personal purposes, then go for it. But if this is strictly a financial transaction, you need to know what you're looking for when it comes to surface, edges, corners, and centering. Keep that in mind when you're grading cards. I should also mention that just because a ton of a card has sold, so in this case, Chet Holmgren 25 have sold, sometimes it's because there's a ton of them on the market or there's just a lot of that product being ripped in that specific moment. So these 7-day volume indicators don't necessarily mean that this is a card that you should or should not be buying. It just means that a lot of people are selling it at the moment or have sold it rather. Just another little tidbit for you. I try to give you guys as many as I can. All right, we are on our next category here. We're going to go into baseball. Baseball playoffs are in full swing. I was like, how is Victor Wembanyama on this list and not Bryce Harper? I still don't understand how Bryce Harper is not high on this list. He is currently smashing it in the playoffs. Okay, we're gonna go into Victor Wembanyama's baseball card. His 2023 Topps Allen and Ginter, 55 of them have sold. This is out of the 2023 Topps Allen and Ginter set. For those of you who don't know, Allen and Ginter is a baseball product, but typically features athletes from all over. Features key celebrity personalities. It's a very intriguing niche set. Now, this is when Wemby's one of his first cards in circulation, so it's probably why the price or the volume is so high. He's been balling out in preseason. Looks pretty good if I'm being entirely honest with you. We'll see how that translates into a full 82-game season for the Spurs. His ungraded copy was selling for $10 back in September of 2023. It is down to about $9.81. PSA 10s, $67. 9 5s, 4444. It's lucky. PSA 9s, or 9s in general, going for $22.91. So the same trend I was talking about previously. If you grade this card, it comes back a 9. It's not worth it to have slapped, in my opinion. All right, team, on to our next category we go. We are going to go into football. Brock Purdy domination continues. So Brock Purdy is everywhere on this list. We got Brock Purdy, Nakua, Jerry Rice, John Elway, Brock Purdy. So literally like most of the volume right now is on Brock Purdy. Okay. What does that mean? It means that if you are selling a Brock Purdy, most likely you will have a buyer for a Brock Purdy. Okay. This also means that his market can go either way. I mean, a few wins, it goes up, a few wins or a few losses, it goes down. So this is actually super volatile place to be. I'm not telling you whether you should be buying or selling. I'm just giving you as much information as I possibly can. We're not going to go into Brock Purdy, though. We are actually going to go into Travis Kelce. I think that's cool. So he's gotten some hype lately with the whole Taylor Swift thing. They're on every TV broadcast. So it's no surprise that his stuff is actually getting a run-up. 2013, my apologies. 27 have sold. Iconic photo of him goofing around at the combine, or I think it's a combine. If I'm wrong, let me know. This ungraded copy was selling for $6.63 back in December of 2020. It has it's very close to its all-time high, actually. So back in 2023, February, $21. this was Super Bowl time. So it has come fairly close. The volume's high. $150 for a PSA 10. 9.5s. Massive discrepancy here between the 9.5 and 10. It's about a third. The 9s are almost as expensive as a 9.5, so that might be an area of opportunity for you. Again, ungraded to graded. If you were to grade this card, if it comes back a 9, it's pretty much on par with what you paid for it, so keep that in mind. Also, we're going to take time to jump into a pop report feature that is available on some of these cards. So what this will show you is exactly how many of these cards have been graded. And so you know, when it comes to buying and selling, as well as potentially learning to, or not learning to grade, but attempting to grade, roughly what these cards grade. So as you can see, the majority of these cards are 10s. So if you find a raw one, it might be worth it to send in. Again, you need to be looking for centering, surface, edges, and surface, edges, centering, corners. There you go. 48 of them, PSA 10s, 20 PSA 9s, and then you've got 4 8s, a 6, and that's the lowest grade. So, all right, team, next category. Got to mix it up with the lingo, you know? All right, we're going to jump into hockey, my favorite sport, for those of you who are just tuning in. Brock Besser is high on this list, but we're not going to get into him. We're actually getting into Jack Hughes, who is having, after 4 games, an MVP type season, in my opinion. I mean, it's only 4 games in, but volume 22 actually. 2019 Upper Deck. This is his Young Guns. This card was about $44 back in July of 2021. As you can see, massive, massive run up. We're at all-time high category now, $119.55. Again, we've got that pop report down here. So majority of them 10, almost 4,000 of them. A 10 is roughly 300, just over $300. 9.5s are 175. 9s are about $150. So, I mean, even if you grade this, comes back a 9. Again, pretty much the same price as a raw. So as always, keep that in mind before sending stuff in. Next category, we've got racing. New category on the list. We've got Lewis Hamilton's 2020 Topps Chrome F1 card. 5 of them have sold. His gold wave. It was about $100 a few weeks back. It's dropped down to $75. So it's roughly 3/4 of the price it used to be. This parallel is numbered to 50. So the fact that 5 of them have sold in the last week is kind of interesting, actually. We don't really have much data to go by other than that. PSA 10s, they're non-existent just yet. 8s, $101. So this is a rare occasion where if you were to buy one ungraded and grade it, it's a little bit more expensive. That being said, this set in particular has a lot of issues. So I think that the collectors of this set don't really care too much about the grades. Obviously, if you get a higher grade, there's probably a bigger premium, but they're willing to accept lower grades on this specific set because of how bad quality control is. Next, we're going into soccer, and we've got the usual suspects high on this list. We've got Neymar actually high on this list. I want to jump into this card. This is his 2018 Panini World Cup Prism card. 5 of them have sold, and unfortunately, Neymar is done with an injury. I don't know for how long. This card's all-time high was about $5.94, at least based on this chart. And that took place back in May of 2022. It is down to $2.92. PSA 10 copies are $30. 9.5s are $15.99, and 9s are $14. Team, we have definitely seen a big shift when it comes to base cards. There's not a lot of demand for them right now. I'm not disrespecting base. There's definitely a market for base. Not everyone can afford, low number parallels or expensive cards. And some people just want to own the card and not the grade. And there's so many different things that come into collecting. But when it comes to selecting what you personally are buying in terms of like maybe an ROI, generally speaking, I would say base doesn't do very well, especially in today's market. UFC is up next. We just had a massive UFC card yesterday, a UFC card yesterday. Not necessarily a sports card, but it was a fight card. And I have a feeling that we're going to see some run-ups in the not-so-distant future. Paddy Pimblett, however, is pretty high on this list despite not really being relevant in the last few days. 3 sales in the last 7 days. This is his orange prism. I remember when this card debuted, everybody wanted Paddy Pimblett. $26.61. It's down to about $6. PSA 10 copies are $45. 9.5s are $31. 9s are just under $10. So you can literally get this card graded as a 9 for less than the cost is to buy and then grade, team. So this is a guy I'd probably look out for. This is not financial advice. He's just a loudmouth. He is polarizing, and those are the types of guys that people either gravitate towards or gravitate away from. Remember what I said in videos past. If they're in the news, it's probably going to result in some sort of action. So wrestling is our final category on this list. We're going to go with Roddy Piper. It's a tongue twister. 5 of them have sold. 1985 Topps WWF card. Very cool card. He's wearing his iconic kilt. This card's all-time high was $7.75. It's down to about $5. PSA 10 copies. Oh, look at this. Whopping. Absolutely whopping. $631.50. 9 5s are $178. 9s are $152. Hell, even 8s are $33.52. So if you can find a good looking copy of this card, there's only 10 PSA 10s, so don't count on it being a PSA 10. But you know, the 8-9 category, I don't think is out of reach. There's 67 9s, 169 8s. I mean, it's a decent card to look out for. Now, obviously, don't buy things unless you enjoy them. Don't buy things just for the ROI, because you might get stuck holding that thing and you want to make sure that you like the stuff in your collection. But I can see why people are going after this card with, you know, the potential returns here. So as always, make sure you know what you're looking for. Centering, corners, edges, surface. I would search up PSA 10s and PSA 9s and see what they look like, and then compare your copy to those and try to rough out what you think it's going to be. And always round down when it comes to grading, okay? Don't kid yourself. Not everything's a 10. Team, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the hottest sports cards of the week. I hope you finally subscribe, like, comment on the video. It goes a long way in terms of our algorithm, in terms of helping other people. But also, the more that happens, the more content we can push out and the more fun stuff you get to enjoy. So please hit that like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Team, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Coach Co and Sports Cards Pro are out of here. Peace.